There's actually an app that you can use to actually see if something's been written by ChatGPT, and I thought, oh my gosh, you can't even cheat easily now. It's essential to make this training accessible. A lot of my peers, they're busy raising families, they're really scared about AI, they're sticking their heads in the sand. So I'm trying to just get the message out there and make it as accessible as possible. I want to see everyone win in the tech revolution. The stats are that 44% of jobs will be automated by 2030. 70% of those high-risk jobs are held by women. And if you actually think about what that means to society, that is a bit doom and gloom. So my approach to this is give everyone the skills, because everyone's got a wealth of knowledge and experience, but what if you just update them with AI? It's about your plan B career, as far as I'm concerned. So it's positive. I am a positive person. You can't miss it, right? So whether it's about the valuation of tech, so Microsoft now being valued at $3 trillion, sorry. Whether it's about AI being used in schools and education, it's about the future of work. It's either being implemented everywhere, or it's being talked about the impact that it'll have in the future. So the horse has bolted. And I therefore think that we literally all do need to, in my opinion, face into that for the reasons we said before, unless we want to go and live in a hut somewhere, which is tempting at times. But where we move from traditional AI to Gen AI is, it is creating new things from data. So it is generating images, videos, copy. And how is it doing that? It's doing that because it's been trained on trillions of data points of images, copy, videos. So therefore, we're now in this new realm of it can create something new based on all of those things. A few of us have talked about the creative industries that either we're in or we use it in. And needless to say, copyright is a big factor here. The really good prompt, it can produce an extremely slick presentation. So I think I've been doing lots of different designs of how do I talk to my company about AI, and it's talked about the ethical considerations and produced a 10-slide deck. What considerations come into that? You want originality, you want your tone of voice. But in terms of, if you're not very artistic or very good at setting up presentations, it does a really good job of then something that you can alter. So I love this one. What excites me is there's this use of it, which is great, and us getting some help from it, but you really change the game when you're automating tasks. The efficiency that we can get, when you talked about Photoshop, it's like, actually, I'm good at this thing, but I think Zoom released a report recently that said 70% of people's work is work about work. So it's all the admin. So actually, when we get to this point where we're using AI to automate some of our tasks, then whether in enterprise or in our own businesses, then it's a game changer. If you are working with a third party, what testing and training have you done with this model to make sure that the output is accurate? So if you think that you might get a decision that's been made about your insurance or your mortgage or something, has that been influenced, or is that decision made by AI? And actually in that stage beforehand, have they tested the outputs? What happens if I'm from this ethnic background? What if I'm this age? What if I'm this a single mum with kids? Is it fair? Is it basing things on the right thing? Or has it been trained on data that is historic data but could be biased? So if we're just deciding, like, I wonder what library book Mary might hire next. It's not huge, it's not going to impact Mary's life. But if we're actually impacting people's mortgages decisions, and actually if HSBC give these people mortgages but not these other people, and then they keep using the same data, the issue actually mushrooms, and it becomes a societal issue based on this original data set. I met someone recently that said, because I run women and AI events, so that's getting non-tech women interested into tech. And one of the speakers said, can I bring lots of my tech people there? Because my tech people community don't know how to speak to your non-tech community. And it is an issue because they struggle in their organizations or on their projects to explain, here's the problem that I'm facing. Or if a business person says, here's my brief and here's my budget, and the tech person's like, I'm going through the list, I can't do that. An interpersonal the ability to convey how or why you can't do it and what the solution is critical. Or you just end up going yes and trying to do it and then you can't do it. And then if you think about, and it's all that influencing as well. We mentioned earlier about presenting skills, and that ability to present ChatGPT or like in a compelling way is even more important, because actually everyone's going to lift their game who can communicate the output the most effectively and who understands the audience in the best way. I wonder how I've done at that. I don't know. Thanks, yeah. One of the most popular, or I think really helpful and flexible kind of formats to follow is Risen. So what is the role that you want it to play? What are the instructions, specific instructions that you want it to follow? So what's the output? What are the steps that you want it to take? So literally, if you've ever ended up getting something a bit disappointing, it's very often because you've not actually like stepped out how much you want. And you think, well, obviously I wanted that as bullet points or as a paragraph, and you haven't told it. What is an end example? And then narrow it. So is it a certain word count that you want, for example? So act as a management consultant. Write me an article about how sustainability is impacting the fashion industry. Give me a compelling opener. So these are the instructions. And then the 5 key points, finish with a call to action. Now the end example, so who am I basing it on? This proposal is aimed at the fashion industry and those working in it. And to narrow it, I've said, can you make the proposal 500 words and in a tone of voice similar to a Vogue business article? It's a lot more detail and takes a lot more thinking, but with that kind of prompt, I personally find I love this one. And I think the mistake that's easy to make is that people are treating it like a search engine and then going, oh, it's rubbish actually. I asked it for this. I think it's crap. I'm not into that ChatGPT. Whereas actually it's understand. This is like learning Google, 20 years ago. My message is probably to everybody, to myself as well, what is your plan B? How is it going to impact your industry? Where will I be in 5 years? This is the biggest thing that I think is important, because actually I don't know if it is AI. It's that if AI impacts what I'm doing now, what do I do then? So if I think about my colleagues at my last company that I'm talking about, I'm like, I really hope everyone's got a plan B. And so for me, I've been thinking, I think this is an element of due diligence. How could it impact what I'm doing now? Do I want to get involved in that and be really good at augmenting my work, or should I be thinking of a plan B?